we felt very sorry for the dog. So my mother, she'd stand beside the car with a hairdryer. So as when the dog would stick his head out the window, he wouldn't feel hard done by. I think it was a great holiday. But, and then we did have petrol later on in the early 80s, and my father used to take us on a Sunday drive, usually on a Monday night, like when there was less traffic. But one of the things that annoyed me most about him, and there was many, it was the way he used to carry me around on his shoulders the whole time. I was very uncomfortable in the car, in particular. Dreadful. But I moved away eventually. I went to London about 3 or 4 years ago. I had to get away. And the main reason I moved to London, though, was because I was feeling very sorry for myself. I was very depressed, and I didn't want to be surrounded by happy people. So I thought that was the place for me, and it proved to be correct. And I was feeling very sorry for myself, down in the dumps, and, I had a long face. I was feeling very depressed. And, it was a big wrench, leaving family and friends and even familiar enemies. It's all a big, big wrench. And I went along to a doctor just after I signed on. I explained my problem. I said, I'm feeling very depressed. Can you do something for me? And I half expected him to give me some Prozac or something like that. But he didn't. Do you know what he did? He just tickled me under the arms, right? Who's got the tickles? Hey? And then he chased me around the room with a shaving brush. Come on, who's got the tickles? Hey! I'm going, doctor, stop it. It works, as well. That's the funny thing. But what's the worst thing someone can say to you when you are feeling very sorry for yourself? And supposing you're in hospital and you've just had a very serious operation and you've just lost your job while you're on the waiting list for the operation. And you're feeling absolutely miserable. And what's the worst thing someone can say to you? No, not bad though. Cheer up is another possibility. And I'll tell you the worst thing. You're lying in hospital. You think you're dying, and somebody comes in and says, "Here, I brought you a lovely bag of fruit." Right? That's the worst thing, really. Seriously. I'm speaking for myself. Like, I hate fruit. Right? I wouldn't eat fruit if I was healthy. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't eat fruit if I was a fucking fruit fly. To be honest with you. When I'm sick, I want magazines and chocolates and a massage. That's what I want. And I want to appeal to anybody here who works in a hospital, any nurses or doctors or anyone at all. If you ever see somebody coming in to visit a patient with a big bag of fruit, I want you to stop them in the corridor, please, and stick a syringe in their neck. And say, you're not getting out of here till you eat every bit of fruit in that bag. Every grape, every last bloody pip. All right? Please do that. But, so I'm living in London now, and I said, oh, sure, it's fantastic. I bought a new house there a couple of months ago, and I forget where. What a waste of money. Should have got a map. I live in a flat now, and that's fine. I know exactly where that is. Thank God. I've got string. But I feel very sorry for people who do own their own homes, because they don't really enjoy the ownership. Now, this is very true, because when you buy a house, right, huge, big expense, biggest purchase of your life, you get very preoccupied about the whole issue of home security and accumulating possessions and protecting them from burglars. And my father, he got very agitated about this because he'd been burgled too many times. And finally, he came up with what he thought was the perfect solution. He just got a big sign and he put it over the front door of the house. And just 2 words: police station. Right? So no trouble from burglars after that. A lot of people got beaten up in the kitchen, but no trouble from burglars. Thanks very much. I was always brought up to save money and be thrifty, like my parents. I mean, for example, they used to put a jellyfish in my bed every single night before I go to sleep, so I'd sleep on the edges and the mattress wouldn't sag and it would last longer. That's the lengths they'd go to. I'm serious. Yeah. And I had a girlfriend one time, I think, and we used to go to, you can never be sure, and we used to go to a restaurant every once in a while, and I'd be trying to impress her. I'd try and be sort of witty and cool and say the right things and not reveal too much of my personality. Recite the alphabet backwards and that sort of thing, and a bit of shadow puppetry as well. Anyway, and I'd also be thinking of trying to think of ways of saving money as well when I was there. For example, she'd have a starter, and I wouldn't bother myself. And then we'd leave, right? And on the way out, I'd take a big handful of mints. And an extra coat. That was good value, I think you'll find. Yeah. Well, this whole love business is very fickle altogether, isn't it? I mean, is there anyone here in love tonight? No. Ah, no. No. Well, you two should get together, obviously. But love, as you know, anyone who is in love, it's very fickle. Most fickle of all the emotions. I mean, to give you an example, I'm in love at the moment. I'm not anymore. See, very fickle altogether. It just comes and goes, you know. Like, there's no doubt about it, in my opinion, men are never happy with their circumstances. Would anyone agree with me there? They always want a little bit more. It's just human nature. You always think everybody else is having much better time than you. Like, if you're in the restaurant, you think everyone else has much nicer food than me and much bigger portions. And they're having a much better chat down that end of the table than the one I'm having here with Flatley. You know, that's you know. And like, it's the same thing. Like, supposing for the sake of argument you're a man, if you're not already a man out there, and you're in bed with a beautiful woman who loves you and who you love, which is very rare indeed, and you've been making passionate love for about 4 or 5 hours, which is even rarer, I think you'll find. And she's still breathing, which is a bonus. And you're still awake, which is a miracle. And supposing you have a big crate of Guinness beside the bed on this side of the bed here, and all the hummus and pita bread you can eat on that side of the bed there, and you should be delighted with yourself. You have 3 or 4 of your favourite movies of all time, and a video recorder, and a pot of gold at the end of the bed, and a football. It's a dream come true. As a man, it's a situation you've been idealising ever since you were a little child. And you should put your hand on your heart and say, for the first time in my life, I'm truly happy. Well, of course, you don't say that. You say, I wish there was 2 more girls here. And a goat. Or is that just me? So we didn't get on well, me and my girlfriend, at all, actually, for ages. Like, she was one of these people who every single night before we went out, she'd always open the wardrobe and she'd start to cry. And she'd say, it's not fair, I've nothing to wear. It was my own fault, really. I suppose I shouldn't have hidden her clothes. You have to amuse yourself in some way, don't you? I suppose so. And she was one of these people who used to talk to her car. And that was a terrible thing in my book. That used to drive me crazy altogether. You know, talking to inanimate objects. You know, she'd spend more time talking to her car than she would to me. And she'd call it Dolly, and she'd put a blanket in its bonnet on a cold day. And we'd be on the way to the pub, and we'd stop off for petrol, and she'd say, "Oh, we're going for a drink, and Dolly's going for a drink." You know, that kind of behaviour would drive you mad, wouldn't it? So I used to get her back. I used to talk to the fridge. In the morning, I go down, "Hello, Frank, any milk today, hey?" Talk to the Hoover as well. "Well, Harry, are you feeling hungry, are you?" Talking to the couch as well. "Well, Colin, looks like me and you again tonight." Talking to the iron as well. "What are you looking at, you hot flat fuck, huh?"